All right, if you're into skating, or even if you just watch it, you've heard the word fakie thrown around constantly. But here's the thing, it's not just some random slang. It's a word that was born out of a real, physical problem that needed a language-based solution, and it's one that completely changed the sport. So let's dive in and unpack how skaters literally had to invent a new word just to describe what they were doing.
Yeah, you hear it all the time, right? Fakie ollie, fakie big spin. But what does that really mean? It's way more than just, going backward. The story behind it is actually rooted in a very specific problem that the pioneers of skating had to figure out.
Okay, so let's jump in the time machine and head back to the 1970s. Skateboarding is just blowing up. I mean, it's moving off the sidewalks and into these empty backyard swimming pools, mostly out in California. And these new concrete playgrounds, they created a totally new set of challenges, not just for how you ride, but for how you even talk about riding.
All right, so here's the basic dilemma they were facing. You ride up a ramp or the side of a pool, going forward, just in your normal stance. You get to the top, but instead of doing a kick turn to face back down, you just stop and let gravity pull you back down. Sounds simple, right? It's just physics. But for skaters trying to describe this, it was a huge headache. What do you even call that?
And that right there, that was the big question. I mean, you're not riding switch, right? That whole idea wasn't even a thing yet. Your feet are planted in your normal, comfortable stance, but your entire body is moving backward. So you're looking one way but going the other. How on earth do you put a name to that?
Well, the answer actually bubbled up right from the skate culture itself. It wasn't an overnight thing. It was this cool evolution, kind of blending the whole surf vibe that skating came from with the real-world needs of these pioneers who were pushing the limits in those pools.
So you can really see how the word kinda grew up over the years. Way back in the late 60s and early 70s, it was all about that surf influence. So skaters just called rolling backward the fake way to do it. Then you get to the mid-70s, the Z-Boys era, and guys like Tony Alva and Jay Adams are inventing all these new vertical moves. They needed better words. And that's when a pro skater named Eddie El Gato Elguera really steps in. He starts popularizing and actually naming specific fakie tricks, like the fakie ollie, and that's what made it stick.
So here's the linguistic breakdown. It's pretty simple, actually. You've got the word fake, which described that wrong direction of travel. And then you just slap on that classic surf and skate suffix, the IE sound. Think ollie or wally. Boom. Just like that, a brand new technical term is born.
But you might be wondering, why even bother adding the icky? Why not just keep calling it fake? Well, this is the really important part. This is where the word goes from just being casual slang to becoming part of the official grammar of skateboarding.
And trust me, this little change makes all the difference. Think about it. If someone says they did a fake tray flip, it kind of sounds like they didn't really land it or it was sketchy, like it wasn't a real trick. But fakie, that's a whole different story. Fakie is a technical term. It identifies a very specific stance and direction of travel. It stopped being just a piece of slang and became a fundamental part of how we talk about skating.
So the word fakie didn't just stick around because it sounded cool. It stuck because it solved a huge problem, a technical problem, that was actually getting in the way of skaters being able to describe their own tricks.
And this is the why behind it all. It was absolutely essential. For one, it made a super clear distinction between rolling forward and rolling backward. And remember, back in the 70s and 80s, the idea of riding switch with your opposite foot forward, that just wasn't really a thing yet. This new word fakie, it created precision. All of a sudden, you could say fakie 360 spin, and every single person there knew exactly what you were talking about. You did a 360 while rolling backward towards your tail. It was a total game changer for communication.
And what's really amazing about the word fakie is that it was so useful it couldn't be contained to just skateboarding. Yeah, the logic behind it was just so perfect that it started to spread.
See, the problem it solved, that whole thing about moving backward while you're still in your normal stance, that's not just a skateboarding problem. Other sports on boards and wheels had the exact same dilemma. So when they heard this solution, they grabbed it. It was just too good a word to keep to themselves.
And now you hear fakie all over the place. Snowboarders use it, BMX riders use it, surf skaters, you name it. It basically became this universal piece of language for a whole family of action sports.
So there you have it. That's the origin story of fakie. But of course, knowing this just opens up a whole new can of worms, doesn't it? Like, what is the difference between a fakie tray flip and a nollie tray flip? To someone who's new to this, they can look almost identical. But trust me, they are fundamentally different tricks. And, well, that's a deep dive for another